Okay, welcome to the new OPRD Grants Online application tutorial. This is specific to Heritage Grants. If you want to know more about the Oregon Parks and Recreation Department's recreation grants, please visit the website and track them down to get specific information. I believe they have a similar tutorial online. There will be no questions during this session. I recorded this separately, so I'm going to run through everything for you to understand how to use the online system. I am not going to go into detail about grant planning or the specific grant programs we offer. If you have questions with those, my contact information is on the grants page of our website. So if you go to OregonHeritage.org, which is this home page here, and then click on Grants on the left-hand side. It will take you to the Grants page. My contact information is all over this page, pretty much in every section, so if you have questions, please do let me know. This is the page to start with. You need to read the information about each grant program and see which one best fits the project that you want to have funded. The information, general information, is right on the screen. The more specific information about all grant cycles, deadlines, grant timelines, eligibility, and such are on the grant information page. So if you want to know more about the Heritage Grant, you go to the Heritage Grant information page. In order to get the instructions for the online grant application, please go to the online instructions page, and there's a different one for each grant program. Please use the one specific to the program for which you're going to apply. There's one for historic cemeteries, one for heritage that I just showed, museums, preserving Oregon, and diamonds in the rough. Now, diamonds in the rough and preserving Oregon fall under the same grant category when we're in the grant system, so please be aware of that, but they do have different grant instructions. Okay, this is important. I have found that people are applying under the wrong application, and I will try to keep checking that, but that is a big issue. I can't switch those over. You'll have to rewrite your whole application if we catch it in time. So please be sure you apply for the correct grant program and the correct application. Please do read all of the instructions. You might be savvy with a computer, but sometimes the answers you insert are more important than knowing how to find a tab. Also, please be sure your organization is qualified to apply for the grant program before you ask to do it. So I'm going to go into this grant program, and this is what it looks like when you go to the online page. It's oprdgrants.org. You see the URL right up there. When you get there, if you have not ever used this program, click on this link. But first, make sure that you are not using Internet Explorer. It will work for some things, so it will fool you. But later, when you try to access the program, it will not work. So you need to be using Firefox, Safari, or Chrome. If you click on these, it will take you to the location to download that. Okay, once you have that, make sure your pop-up blockers allow for pop-ups, and then you click on this link. Here is where you submit your request to apply for grants. You type in your organization. If you do not have an organization, some of our programs don't require it, then type in either your name, last name, comma, first name, or your building name or your cemetery name, whatever the project is about, and that would qualify as well. Under type of organization, if you own a private property and you're applying for a building rehab project, or if you own the cemetery but it's not an active cemetery, you can just use unassigned, okay, if you're a private individual. If you are one of these other organizations, please do say that you are. Then put in your first name and last name. The more you fill out in this moment, the more information will automatically flow into your application. So this is a good time to do it, especially if you expect to apply for multiple grants or different grant programs. Here is where you select which programs for which you are eligible. Please do not select ones for which you are not eligible. Do not select historic preservation grants unless you are with a certified local government. This is specified in the instructions if you use the instructions that match the grant for which you choose to apply. If you do qualify for more than one, if you're a 501c3 or a local government, you could qualify for heritage grants, and preserving Oregon grants, and historic cemetery grants. So if you know you're going to apply for those and you qualify, then go ahead and select them. And then you need to type in the code here. Okay. Once you submit this request, I will receive the request. I will approve it if you qualify or not if you don't. If you don't qualify, you will receive an email from me explaining that you don't qualify and asking if there was a different program for which you were trying to apply. If you do qualify, you will receive an email that has a link. When you need to respond to that email within 24 hours. When you click on that link, it will open up the OPRD grants page and a pop-up window will come up that has your opportunity to enter your password. There's 2 lines, so you enter the password and then you enter it a second time to make sure it's all spelled correctly. Once you have that, you can then access the OPRD Grants Online program and come and go as you please. So what it looks like when you've done that also for your information, on the information online instructions that are on our website for each grant category, the screenshot may not look exactly as it does on the instructions as it does on the actual application. Every application is different, so I did not create brand new screenshots for each application. Just make sure that you go and fill in all of the answers. If there are questions on the screenshot that are not on the application, you do not need to worry about responding to them. Save often as you go through this process, and please create only one application. So I'm going to go through this now. The first application I'm going to submit is going to be for the Preserving Oregon grant. Now if we look on here, this is right now highlighting projects. This tab will be of use for you if your project is awarded. Then it becomes, if your application is selected and the grant is awarded, it becomes a project and you'll be able to track the status of that here. But we want to look at applications. So I'm looking to apply for Preserving Oregon. This is the grant year, and I have one application open already. Now, if this is you and you're applying for a Preserving Oregon grant and you have an application open, please do not open a new application, or we'll have several useless applications in there for the reviewers to see. So right now I created this letter of intent and I'm waiting for it to be approved so that I can go forward. To see what applications are available, say I'm also eligible to apply for the Diamonds in the Rough, then I can open that and I will start a new application with Diamonds in the Rough. I'm going to do the wrong thing and start a new application for Preserving Oregon, so you can see the letter of intent. You type in the description of the work that you want to do and then you submit it. Once that's submitted, I receive notification and you will be contacted by someone in our office. Typically, Joy Sears will do the consultation on the buildings. She's our restoration specialist. If it's an archaeology project, it'll typically be Dennis Griffin who does the consultation on that. We will review it, and then we will approve it, and then you will have access to continue your application. If you take a look at the Preserving Oregon grants under available applications, you'll see the close date is September 9th. That is the close date for the letter of intent. If you miss that opportunity, then you can't apply for the grant. Okay, we have this letter of intent thing. After the letter of intent is submitted, if you submit it by the 9th of September, then you have until September 30th to complete your application. So please do look at the grant information to know that deadline. Preserving Oregon does not require a letter of intent, and so the deadline that it shows is the actual end of the grant cycle. You must click submit, so we'll get to that in just a second. So now I'm going to go to a different one, museum grants, and I have my applications. Oh look, I have 2 grants open. They're for different projects. I don't really recommend that. I recommend you pick your project you want to have funded and sell it to us, but you can submit more than one. So I'm going to go to Preserving Oregon grant, and I'm going, actually, you know what, I'm going to be good. I'm going to go in. Oh, I can't delete it. Okay, so I'm going to go to the museum grant, and I have a new one, and I need to click Edit Application. Now, if I were to leave and come back before submitting this, I would click Edit Application again. So you put in all your particulars. If I had done this in my initial application to register for the program, this would automatically fill in, but I didn't. So you would fill in those. Then you go to Project. This is where you put the project name, exhibit. Okay? It doesn't have to be sexy, it can just be descriptive. And I'm asking for $5,000. And I have $5,000 match. My annual budget is $45,000. This exhibit, create and install an exhibit to tell the cultural history of trees in Oregon. And my exhibit is going to, I'm going to start work in January, and my exhibit will open in June for Father's Day weekend. Okay, now I'm going to save. Then we go into finance. What you put in this finance section needs to match what's under the project section, what I just put in. So I'm going to do my project budget worksheet first. You can do funding sources first too if you wish, but I like to see my total thing in there. In the categories we want you to use are here. They are also in your instructions. We want you to use contractor consultant, volunteer time, employee time, travel, materials and equipment, printing, publication, and design, and other, and you can specify the other. If you're using a contractor for a project, you do not need to break out their materials and equipment and travel if they offer it to you as a whole package. That's additional materials and equipment can travel if it's in addition to the contractors. So we want to add an item, and I'm going to say contractor consultant. $5,000. And then you can see what you put in there, and you can edit or delete it. And you can add. And if you want to be able to sort of see it behind there, you can. Volunteer time, because we're doing all the writing of it. Let's say $1,000. And then we'll say fabrication, which is the, you could call it materials and equipment, or printing, publication, design, however you wish. But I'm going to call it materials and equipment. Okay. So I now equal 10,000, which was the total cost I said I would have. Now I'm going to do my funding sources worksheet. I'm going to add a grant because I had a county cultural coalition grant. And then sometimes this is repeated because they don't have different types of grants. That's fine. My status is pending, and it was for $1,000. Save that. Oh, I forgot these have to be filled in. Okay. Then we go back to funding sources because it doesn't match yet. I still need $4,000 in funding sources. I need to add volunteer because we can't pay for our volunteers. Okay. And I still need more. 2,000 more, so I'm going to say fabrication and installation. No, let's say organizational cash. Oops, I forgot to put a name out. So I can edit that. And that was 2,000. Oh, it caught me. I still don't have 5, so let's add installation. Okay, so now it's not giving me that warning that things don't match. There is a section here for budget narrative, and I can say LCC grant pending. We will know by October if we are not funded, we will seek business donation from a consistently regularly from a, how about reliable funder. Okay? So give us whatever detail about the narrative that we should know. So look at your narrative, your budget, and be like, they might wonder about this, or they might wonder why this costs so much less than normally it would if you have a good deal on something. Okay? Then supplemental is where you go answer your main narrative questions. Project need and value, project goals, project timeline, project detail, the ability to complete the project, and here's a list of potential items that would be appropriate to attach. Because our grants are so open-ended, we do not specify, but if there is specification, it's in the grant information for each particular grant. So if you have a preservation project on a building, we need to see work plans. We need to know that you're following the Secretary of the Interior standards. We need to see the historic photo of the building. If it's an exhibit, then, if you already have design and it's about the fabrication, then show us the design. Okay, so you just answer this here. You can have already written this in a Word document, copy it, paste it into here. That's fine. It will not look fancy. It will not keep your structure or formatting that you do. If you want it to do that, then you need to find somebody who knows HTML, and you can make that work. We don't care, and the reviewers don't care. So to do an attachment, you can say, I'm sending my attachments in the mail. We'd rather you didn't. We'd rather you uploaded them here so the reviewers can see it right in the same place. So to add an attachment, you go like this, and then you select the file. And I'm going to select this document. And then you want to say it is an additional attachment. You have to label it to continue. And then you can select another file. This time I'm going to do picture. Now that's penguins. And you do additional attachment again. And then when you're done, they both show up here. You can open them and look if you want to. You can delete it if you want to. If you have a set of work plans, you can upload them as one full document. If you have several pictures, you could upload them as one full document or separately. The pictures are kind of nice to have separately because we do get a little thumb menu of this, and we don't necessarily have to open them if they're clear. You have to have some kind of attachment. So if your project doesn't make sense to have any attachments, you can upload a blank or a piece of paper that says no attachment, or you can download this one, save it. If I open it right now, you'll see that it says no attachment. Very slow. Okay, that just says no attachments. So that way we know that it was purposeful, that it was a blank page and we didn't accidentally get the back of another page. Okay, when all of your work is done, then you click submit. That button needs to be pushed before the day of the deadline. I have two things to bring up. One is on the budget under finance. If you look at our project budget here, if you have a project that is $1 million multi-piece project, it will be, one, more competitive, and two, easier for you and for us if you can break out a component of that project that can be completed within the grant cycle. So say you're doing a whole building rehab. If you can pull out the roof and ask us to fund the roof because that's vitally important to the preservation of any building, and say that's a $40,000 roof project, and then you're asking for $20,000 of it and matching with $20,000 of it, then that is all you have to report on for us, and that is all we have to review, and it's more likely to be completed within the one-year grant cycle. Whereas if you apply for the whole building rehab, then in order to get your money, the whole building has to be complete, as opposed to just the roof. If you have an exhibit project, you could ask us to fund the research, writing, and design, but not necessarily the fabrication and installation. The research, writing, and design is in place, then that's all we need to review. So if it's possible to break it out into a smaller piece, that's good. And then in your narrative, under the supplemental section, you talk about under project detail and the ability to complete the project, how this is part of a bigger picture story. It's part of the long-term plan. It's part of a bigger project. So do tell us it's part of that, but only ask for those specific components. The other thing is that I am super, super happy to review these. So before you click submit, as long as it's 2 weeks prior to the deadline, I am happy to review them and give you my opinion about the responses to your questions. So please take advantage of that. Just send me an email and say, hey, I'm ready for you to take a look, and I can access it myself, review, give you some comments back, and then you can make corrections or not, and then click submit. Please do that before you click submit. Once you click submit, I will review it for technical things to make sure all the questions are answered, you meet the requirements, that you qualify for the program, that kind of thing, and address that as needed. And then the grant reviewers on the grant review date will use this program to do that process. Once it's reviewed and the selections are made, you'll be notified by me, and then we move forward from there with the agreements. Hopefully, during this grant cycle, your reporting and the reimbursement request will also happen on this program. So your application would then become a project, and you'd be able to track everything on there and upload all your reports and photos on there, which is easier than our emailing issues sometimes. So that's how you do the program. You click submit when you're done, and then you're free to go. Once you have an open application like this, if you've accidentally opened several, if you could please go in and delete, that would be lovely. But it deletes forever, so make sure that's what you want to do. All right, if you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call or email, and good luck with your grant application.